friends, Jessie here. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. For today's video, I'm going to be tracking all of my expenses for the last week in March. I'm going to be filling out my hybrid budget for week 5 here, and then we're also in this video going to go ahead and close out March, take a look and see how we did overall, if we're over budget, under budget. It was a long month. It was a difficult month. You can see that we've got some red on the page. We were kind of over budget already in some categories by week 3, and we had 5 full weeks this month because of the way that my paychecks fell. So yeah, we are kind of in a bit of a jam here, but we're gonna see how I did in week 5, if I was able to make up the difference by underspending in some categories, or if this is another classic episode of overspending with Jessie. In order to do my expense tracking for week 5 of March, I'm gonna have to use an expense tracker here that I had left over from January because somehow I managed to not print enough expense trackers for March. I don't really know what happened, why I would have done that. I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention when I printed everything out. So we're just gonna use this expense tracker. Pattern's a little different, doesn't exactly match, but it's fine. We're gonna make it work. We are tracking for March 26th through April 1st. Now, we do not get our first paycheck of April until April 2nd. However, we had some things auto pay being pulled out on April 1st that I'm not going to include here because we are already over budget with our auto pay category. Everything that I spend, for the most part, all of my expenses go on a credit card, and I pay that credit card off every week. I'm going to use my first paycheck in April to cover the auto pay expenses from April 1st because otherwise we're going to be so far over budget that it's just going to be ridiculous. When I set up my budget for March, I knew in my head that the first day of April was going to be in this budget, as well as the last handful of days of February, but I didn't take into account how that would skew the numbers for my auto pay category because we have a lot of things that come out automatically, small bills here and there at the very end of the month and at the very beginning of the month. So this is how I've decided to do it. I always say personal finance is personal. You can do whatever you want. You can make changes along the way, whatever works for your budget. And this is what works for mine. Even with that change, I may very well still be over budget for March. We will have to see. And you will see how I'm going to compensate for the auto pay category moving into April. Definitely going to up that budget so that in the future, if this happens, we're covered. So that's just what I decided to do. I'm going to go ahead and start listing out then all of the spending that happened between March 26th and April 1st. You will see there are some auto pay things coming out, but anything that was an auto pay line item that came out on the 1st, you guys will see when I track my expenses for the first week in April. Now, any other spending we did on the 1st, grocery spending, any spending in the other variable categories, I would include here. However, we actually didn't have any. So technically, this is March 26th through March 31st because we didn't have any transactions on the 1st other than those auto pay categories, which will be included in next week's budget. I hope that that makes sense. I feel like I'm over explaining. I didn't have to go into that great of a detail, but I just kind of wanted to be honest with you guys and upfront. Like I had to make some little shifts in my budget in order to make it work this week. So let's go ahead and start talking about everything that we spent. On the 26th, We did have one of those auto pay bills come out. It was for Progressive. This is my husband's motorcycle insurance. You guys, my husband has not ridden his motorcycle in like 2 years. I keep trying to convince him just to sell it. He's really holding on to it. I mean, full coverage insurance on it is not that expensive, but for something he's not riding, I don't know. We're kind of in an impasse with that situation. We have a difference of opinion, and that's fine. Right now, I'm just, we're going along with it. We're going to continue to keep insurance on it, but I'm going to continue to work on him about selling that, because if he's not riding it, it's just sitting there taking up space and costing us money to insure. So we'll see about that. For now, he's going to keep his motorcycle. Next up, we have the 27th. My husband went to Tim Hortons, I guess for a coffee or something. This was my day off from work. I was not in the office, and actually neither was he. He was out doing some work in the field, so he must have been out and about needing lunch. So he went to Tim Hortons. Eating out is the category there, and that was $2.75. It's very rare that he goes to Tim Hortons anymore. For the most part, he's making his coffee in the office because he's not on the road very much anymore. Used to be that when he was running service, he was on the road all the time. He was at Tim Hortons practically every day, but now he works primarily in the office. Since we took over the business, he's not at Tim Hortons near as much, which is great. But on this day, he was. So $2.75 there. On the 29th, we had nothing on the 28th. It was a no spend day, which is great. On the 29th, we had one of my YouTube memberships. I am constantly telling you guys about my channel membership that you can join, which I guess this is a good time to go ahead and plug it. If you would like to get your hands on any of the budget worksheets that you see in today's video, you can do that by going to down below this video. There is a join button you can click, and it'll pop up a little window explaining what my membership is and all of the various tiers. The tiers that say budget in the title, my budget buddies and my budget besties, get access to certain budget worksheets. You can download them, print them as many times as you like. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out my channel membership. But I also have memberships to some of my favorite YouTubers, and that's what this is. So that is one of those auto pay bills. And the amount there was $14.99. Okay. Also on the 29th, my husband's Onyx Maps subscription came out. It's another auto pay. You can see, like, we were already kind of over budget in our auto pay category, and we had a ton of auto pay come out. And that's the reason why I decided that the auto pay items that came out on the 1st are going to be part of next week's budget, and therefore next month's budget also. That was $15.89. Is that right? Yep, $15.89. Lastly, on the 29th, we had Netflix. One last auto pay item for $15.49. Okay, that's it for auto pay now. On the 29th, we did our grocery shopping for the week. So that was Walmart. And it was a pretty hefty grocery shop. I do have a grocery haul sharing everything that I picked up on my channel if you are wanting to check it out and see what I got. But I spent $256.59. Well, that's very sloppy. I'm gonna fix that so that I'm not struggling to read my own handwriting later. $256.59. There we go. On the 30th, My husband went to Dollar Tree to pick something up. This was a Saturday. It was the day before Easter. My husband ended up working a full day, which he does not typically do on the weekends. We had one of our service techs was out on vacation this week, so my husband was doing a lot more work outside of the office. He had a machine that he needed to fix on the 30th and some other odds and ends, so he was in the office all day. So he went to Dollar Tree to pick something up, and he also had lunch out this day. So it's not typical spending that we have because he's usually at home, but this was a bit of a different circumstance. When you own a business, sometimes you gotta work weekends. So this was Dollar Tree. This was our spending category. No idea what he bought, by the way. He didn't enlighten me about that, but he did spend $5.08. And then he went to Subway for lunch that day. So that's coming out of eating out. And that was $12.93. Okay, that was it for the 30th. I'm lying, one more transaction. We had a couple of things that I forgot to add to our grocery order. We needed some household like cleaning supplies and stuff. We were getting the house ready to celebrate Thanksgiving. So this came out of groceries. We had another big order here, and this one was $53.50. So yeah, quite a bit on groceries this week. Even though I've been trying to do better, I didn't do so great this week in terms of spending less. Last but not least, on the 31st, this was Easter. When we went to start our Easter ham, we realized we were out of aluminum foil. So this came out of our grocery budget as well. My husband popped into Dollar General to get some aluminum foil, and that was $4.19. Okay, so that was all of the spending this week. Apologize for the shadows here. Let's go ahead and do some highlighting and get this added up so we can plug these numbers into my March budget and see overall how we did. So I'm going to use this yellow for groceries, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and highlight everything first, and then I'll add it up at the end. Usually I kind of highlight as I go, but this time I'm going to do it this way. So grocery, grocery, grocery. I'm going to use this purple for spending. We had just the one transaction at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this green for auto pay. So we have Progressive, YouTube, Onyx Maps, and Netflix. And then lastly, for eating out, I'm going to use this kind of minty blue color for Tim Hortons and Subway. And I need to go ahead and put my lines down here as well. So, oh my gosh, I cannot do a straight line to save my life. Okay, now we can do some quick math, starting out with eating out, I guess, since that's the little stripe I put first. So we have $275 plus $12.93, $15.68 in eating out. For auto pay, we have $24.17 plus $14.99 plus $15.89 plus $15.49. Yikes, $70.54 in auto pay. And I believe that's a category we were already over budget in, so that is not great. $70.54. For spending, we just had the one transaction of $5.08. And then for groceries, $256.59 plus $53.50 plus $4.19 $314 with 28 cents. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out now. And I'm gonna flip back to my hybrid budget so that we can start checking in with everything. So I'm gonna flip here to week 5. Go ahead and get the categories laid out. So it was grocery, eating out, spending, and auto pay. And we're just gonna start using the information here to fill it out here. So for groceries, we spent $314.28. For eating out, $15.68. Spending was $508. And auto pay, $70 with 54 cents. Okay, so here's what we had remaining in each of those categories. You can see we were already over budget in spending and auto pay, and we did have more spending in those categories. So we're gonna go even further over budget there. But let's go ahead and start with grocery. We started the month with $1,600 in this budget, which is a lot, and it looks like we spent pretty much all of it. So for groceries, that includes all of our food that we buy, as well as household items and pet items. So there's a lot that this category covers. Last week, at the end of last week, we had $374.77 remaining. We spent $314.28. So we have $60.49 remaining in that budget. This is the end of the month, so that's good. That will help absorb some of the overspending in some of the other categories, which is great news. For eating out, we started the month with $500. The end of last week, we still had $83.32 remaining. This week, we spent $15.68. So we have $67.64 remaining in that category. Now this is where we go into the over budget categories. So for spending at the end or at the beginning of the month, we had a $600 budget. Sorry for the flipping back and forth. I apologize if that's making you dizzy. At the end of last week, we had $97.41 in the negatives, and then we spent $508 today, or this last week. So we are negative $102.49 there. And for auto pay, the end of last week, we were negative $439, and we spent $70.54 this week, so we are negative $74.93. And this pen is running out of ink. I don't know why, but these Parku red pens always run out of ink super fast. I love them because they are erasable, but the red ones in particular seem to dry up pretty darn quick. Okay, so there we go. That's where we stand at the end of week 5 in terms of our variable spending, which everything else has been accounted for in my budget. Let me go ahead and open this up and zoom you guys out a little bit so you can see. So you can see here, all of my bills and everything have already been filled in. So all that we have left to fill in then is our variable categories here. Plus we have our buffer, $200 in our buffer. Hopefully between that and coming in under budget in some of these other categories, we will break even, but let's find out. So our budget for auto pay was $250. We know we were over budget, so we spent all of that budget plus some. So we were $74.93 over budget, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. We spent $324.93 in our auto pay category because, like I said, some of the last couple of days of February were in there. So in February, our February budget, we were significantly under budget in auto pay just because of the way the paychecks fell. This month we were over budget. So it probably all evens out if you look at the 2 months, but in this case we were over budget. So that's something that we need to keep in mind for next month. I'd much rather over budget for something and come in way under than have this happen where we have to start inking up the page with red ink. So that was auto pay. Next up we have groceries. So we had a $1,600 budget and we spent all but $60.49, which means we spent $1,539 with 51 cents. And I should not be writing this in red because this was not over budget. Thank goodness for erasable pens. $15.39.51. Now that's a lot of money to be spent on groceries. I know that. In April, I'm gonna try to do better and spend less, but hey, we came in under budget, so I will take it. For eating out, we budgeted $500 and we had $67.64 remaining, which means we spent a total of $432.36. That's another area that I would like to bring our spending down, but we came in under budget, which is good news. Then we have spending. We had a budget of $600. We spent all of that plus some. So we spent a total of $702.49. So we'll see if that buffer that we had, the 200, was able to absorb some of this overspending. Plus we had some of these bills that came in under budget as well. So let's go ahead and add up all of the actual columns and we'll see. We're aiming for $5,480 or less. So fingers crossed, let's see how we do. So we had $729.45 plus $324.93 plus $92.70 plus $212.11 plus $504.81 plus $150 plus $200 plus $55 plus $300 plus $1,539.51 plus $432.36 plus $702.49. Look at that, you guys. We managed to come in under budget. Between the buffer, the little bit of the couple of categories rather that we came in under budget in, overall made it so that we came in under budget for the month. Sorry about the glare of that light there. So we spent $5,243.36. Means we came in under budget by $236.64, which is great. So yeah, definitely the variable spending is still a little rough around the edges. We have some work to do in those areas, but overall we came in under budget for March, which I really did not think we were going to do. So I'm happy. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Stay tuned. If you're watching this the day that it goes live, you will see my April budget tomorrow. I'm actually going to film that right now. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully we can continue the trend of being under budget and we can lower some of these variable costs. We shall see. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, friends.